Hello. Hold on. Hello. Hi, everyone. And welcome to the end of the month hangout. Yes. I'm drinking homemade Fanta that I've used, that I mixed in my not soda stream, but an equivalent sort of like carbonation water thingy. Some Finnish thing. Hi everyone, and welcome to the end of the month hangout. It is the end of the year. It is December. And it's time to end off the year and reflect on the month that has been and the month that's coming up. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be good shit. Let's see. The way this works is there are no rules. There's just no rules. We can do literally whatever we want. Usually I try to talk a little bit about what's been happening in the last month, but because it is the end of the year hangout, end of the year probably, is that I will reflect on the year that has been for the channel, for me and Mulder content, and I will reflect on the year that is coming up. So we're gonna start with the month and then we'll do the full year. All right, it's gonna be fun. If you want to ask me questions or anything, you can go nuts and just drop it down in the chat, and I'll get to it whenever I can. Love Nata. I hope everyone's doing well today, by the way, first of all. I'm bitter for two reasons. I'm bitter partially because of, like, fucking shitty commenters. And also, for my next video script. My next video script is very good, but I'm hoping to do something a little funky. What are my plans for New Year's Eve? Good question. So that is my current mood, but we'll improve that. I have my Fanta. It's called something different. It's like off-brand Fanta because you mix it yourself at home. And I have a pack of gingerbread cookies that I will also eat to signify the holidays. Wonderful. And we're off. Let's start by reflecting the year that has been. Let's start there. I think that's going to be good. The month that has been, sorry. The month that has been December, the month of December. I released a video at the end of November, and I released another video mid-December. One of those videos is now one of my most popular videos ever. For a brief moment, it actually was. And that is my video on drugs and drug use. Because this is my live channel, I can say those words. I can't do that on my main channel, because that's how it is. Just because of algorithms and shit like that. But there's yeah, my drugs video went extraordinarily well. It's my best performing videos that I've ever done. It got massively good receptions. I did have some feedback on that. I did get some criticism, some light criticism. Primarily, it has been from one or two individuals who argue that I present even like still a hostile view of drugs generally, and that I should, and that does more harm than good. And that I'm not going like far enough to sort of present drugs as a neutral thing and sometimes a good thing. Personally, I'm not gonna take that criticism too hard, because you know, there are drugs out there that just are bad. But I feel like that having a value judgment like that is different than from wanting to like structure a society which punishes people for that drug use. And I feel like that's something that presents very much in the video. That like no matter what your opinions are, they don't really matter, because the way we should see them is as like useful when they're useful, dangerous when they're misused, and that no one should be punished for however they use them. So I think that's kind of that kind of worked out pretty well. But I also released a second video to tie you off until end of January, because it's going to be a while until my next video. And that was my video on anachronism, specifically about, I'm doing a lot of ums today, I'm sorry. Specifically about Elagabalus, I don't know, and Queen Christina. Which was very much a shorter video than typical. I wanted to make something that I could make in like 2 weeks or less, because I had to, I'm visiting my parents for the holidays. I took the holidays off. That doesn't really give you enough time to like spend a full month making a video essay, which is what I typically do. So that's how I do. Didn't do it as well, but it still like did okay. It's done okay for my channel. It could do a bit better, but it's done okay. It's also, I got some occasional feedback. I got some feedback that said that my interpretations of Elagabalus is wrong, because the sources are too critical, which is a fair point. So you can't judge them as anything, which is true. But I did cover that in the video itself when talking about when I did mention the sources themselves. So again, I'm not going to take that too critically. I got some criticism from Swedish fans who said that my interpretation of Queen Christina was wrong, and that Queen Christina was a trans man, and they're just wrong. But beyond from that, I've had pretty good receptions. Like everything's been kind of good, honestly. What else happened in December? What else hath happened in December? Yes, the Tom Scott show Money that I guested on like 2 years ago, when I was still like a very, very small YouTuber, went public, which drove a lot of like attention to my channel, which I appreciate, because it provided me with like plenty of new subscribers, plenty of new viewers. It's good stuff, and that's been pretty good. I didn't. One thing that I haven't liked though is that because Tom is like a massive creator, right? Millions of subscribers. There has been, like, it's not his fault at all, by the way, and I've even spoken to him about this. Not at his fault at all. But because he's such a huge audience, his audience is like very like multifaceted, and some of his audience are kind of shitty. That's true of every big audience. That's not his fault at all. But I have gotten a couple of people who like go to my channel and like just leave harassing comments. So I've been dealing with that. I feel like I've been sort of in a bubble, because I have such a kind community. And I've kind of gotten used to not having to deal with harassment, or when people do harass me, it's like 1 or 2 individuals, and just having like a sudden barrage of dozens of people has been a bit shitty. But however, in general, good. In general, that was a like good thing that happened, because I am now well on my way to reach 100,000 subscribers, and I'm looking forward to that. Hopefully I'll reach that before my next birthday, which is going to be in April, but all the analytics are telling me that I should be able to reach that very soon. But speaking of, let's go to the month that is coming up. The month that's coming up is going to be a fairly normal month. I'm going to release my next video on the 31st, unless something changes. It might be move 1 or 2 days, but you know, that's my goal. Which gives me 4 weeks and a little bit more. 4 weeks and 1 day to make that video, which is going to be good. I haven't completely nailed down what it's going to be about, but I think it's going to be about bitterness. Not because of anything that's happened today. It's a subject that I've been wanting to deal with for a while. I might change it though. I haven't actually locked that down yet. I have like 4 ideas that I'm working on, but that one is looking the most attractive right now. There's... What else is happening this month? Also in the month that has been, some personal news. I guess I can show you, but I finally got my ears pierced, so they're healing now. So hopefully by the time when I record my video, I'll be able to have something nice in my ears. So that's gonna be fun. But the month that's coming up, it's gonna be fairly normal. You know, I am working on a secret project, but that secret project is only going to be released in February, and that's gonna be a Nebula thing. Which, if you like a certain video game with a crowbar in it, you'll like that. I'm not gonna say too much more about that. But otherwise, it's not gonna be much more. I think that's all for the month. I have a lot more to say when it comes to like the year that has been and the year that's coming up, because there's gonna be a lot of stuff. So I'm going to take a quick break now and go through chat. So I hope that you're all having a good time. Because I've been just ranting for a little while. Was there a video Mia released that got taken down? No, thankfully not. My video on drugs was not taken down. My first video on drugs was age restricted, which means it just like, it's hidden from the algorithm. So I replaced all the references to drugs with references to drinks. Except one time where I say the opioid epidemic and I fucked up. And I forgot to edit it out. This is a straight mistake. It's a big mug. This is a big mug. This holds a lot. Looking forward to 2023? Yeah, I am. 2023, I guess it's next year. I'm looking forward to this year more than 2023. 2021, which I'm going to talk about later, was an amazing year for me. So I feel kind of shitty about like everyone else had an awful year. But I am looking forward to the future a little bit. You were fun and money. Thank you. I like to think that I was good. How does people never play the game? You'd think. Was there a euphemism in your head for wine in the drugs video? Wine was going to be part. I actually had this part. This is something that got cut out in the script phase. So I didn't shoot it. I kind of wish that I had shot it because it had been like a nice outtake. But I cut it in the script phase. Wine would have been part of like general alcohol. Because I had an idea about like having cocktails with various types of like alcoholic drinks, and they would represent synthetic drugs. So like synthetic like designer drugs that don't fit into the other categories, the ones that like the legal system has a hard time catching up with, the ones that are explicitly designed to like circumvent the legal system so that they're kind of legal. But they're also a bit more dangerous, and they, you know, keep changing chemicals around a little bit. And the idea I had for that was that it was either going to be beer or wine or something like that. That I was going to have, like, this is a drug. It is currently illegal. However, they have released a new type of this drug, and then I would have like another beer that's like exactly the same kind, but it's just it's a different kind of beer. Like it's a different flavor of beer, and then that gets banned, and then a new flavor of beer, like a new IPA or some shit, or like a new bottle of wine. Like it's all red wine, but because it's like a different brand of wine, it's something else. But that was my idea. But I changed that in the script phase because it sort of distracted a bit much from the overall point that I wanted to make, and it would have made a video a bit longer. And I don't think it actually like it didn't justify itself in worth of time. But cocktails was like a big thing. You have to think about the children. Hello. There's a tendency on the left to downplay their bad side. That's also a big reason why I didn't want to sort of like, drugs are good. Like, I didn't want to do that. Because, like, I belong to the type of person who, like, if in an ideal world for me, like, alcohol doesn't exist. But we do not live in a perfect world. But I also recognize that, like, because we don't live in such a world where we can just, like, make shit up and make stuff we want to happen and everyone's fine with it, the next best solution then is to have, like, a harm reduction system and, like, a legalized framework around alcohol. So that would be, like, a bar system, which, in theory, is supposed to, like, regulate how drunk you can get and, like, not selling to people who are already drunk, things of that nature. And having like a healthcare system that like is, you know, prepared to handle people who like suffer from it, and like there are rehabilitation centers for that center, like that stuff. But for drugs, that's sort of where I'm at as well. In an ideal world, like drugs don't exist like in society. In an ideal like hypothetical world, but also doesn't meet in my like ideal world. But like that can't happen, obviously. We need to be somewhat pragmatic, right? So I'm not going to go around and say like, drugs are bad, we need to ban all drugs, because that can happen. But I'm also not going to say like drugs are good and completely harmless, because they're not. Like they do cause like issues in society. The problem is that I want to deal with those issues rather than either ignore them or like get them at the source, which is drugs. It's an early Arabic name. Allah Hagabal. I don't know. Queer historian's perspective on subjects really needed. I like to think so. Historic historians, they wear gender bending horse fiddler. Yeah, that's kind of what they do. Multirates are very sweet. You are. I think money was antagonistic. Money was definitely antagonistic. That's also something that we talked about, like, as we were setting up the game and as we were playing it, like, between takes, that it's good that people are, like, backstabbing each other. It's because that's good content that makes for an interesting video. The alternative is that everyone just cooperates and no drama happens and nothing happens, like, it doesn't become a nice show. Like, that's actually one of the reasons why they didn't invite more, like, BreadTube personality. I'm not sure if I should talk about this publicly, actually. But that's actually a reason why they didn't invite more BreadTube people, because they said that, like, if everyone on the thing is, like, a hardcore communist, they're just gonna unite and do communism, and then there won't be a game. Because everyone's just gonna cooperate and be done. And I also feel like we were also like learning the game as we were playing. Like the idea of like distributing the money equally by the end was not something that we even considered was a possibility. So until the very end, that was something that was going to be forced to happen. Like that wasn't even considered by any of us. Even Tom, who like no in none of the test games that had happened. So you know. Do you have anything you would wish to tell? Do you have anything you wish that you could tell a younger you? Yeah, that you're transgender. Take it easy, probably. Things will work out. When you bluffed in the first one, no money. Yeah, I got out quickly. Have I seen the new Matrix? I have not yet. I was going to see it over Christmas weekend, but I haven't seen it yet. Miyamoto Source Engine game when? I wish. Give me Minecraft. Give me Half-Life 3. Minecraft. What? I love Fortnite. Just discovered your channel today. Oh, thank you. Well, welcome, I guess. Which video is, in your opinion, the best to start with? Good question. Why do people join the military? I think it's one of my best videos that I've ever made, and Transsexuals and Sufferings is probably my most like me video that I've ever made. So if you want to like get the Mia Mulder like content, Transsexuals and Suffering is probably the one that like hits good. I'm extraordinarily proud of Transsexuals and Suffering, even though it was like super early in my YouTube career. Video about maps. Maps is pretty good too, yeah. I've seen so many of my favorite YouTube channels grow up. I'm actually going to take that comment from Vince Whitaker as my like pause point for the chat. I will return to you. I love you. But I will take that as my pause point and I will return to it. To talk about the year that has been, because the year that has been 2021, yeah, has been exceptionally good for the channel. Like exceptionally good. The year started off great with my video on the military becoming very popular, and there has been a steady increase since then. I started the year with roughly 30,000 subscribers. The year before, I had only gotten, I think, 10,000 subscribers. Well, only, that's quite a lot of people. But I hadn't grown like even nearly as quickly as I had wanted to. The first year of the pandemic was like a shit show. But the second year of the pandemic, the channel grew very quickly. I very much became more comfortable doing the kind of work that I wanted to do. And it's been like a year now since I've had my upgraded equipment too. You can watch my videos. You can see where suddenly the camera quality goes from like, kind of okay-ish shittily to like much better. And that's because I managed to get like new equipment. And I learned how to use it. And I feel like I really like upped my production level a step. I'm going to try to do the same thing for this year, but we'll see how that goes. But yeah, it's been doing pretty well. Last year I started with like quite a lot of financial like anxiety and like being kind of rickety. Like YouTube was working as a job, but it wasn't like super stable and safe. Now I'm doing pretty good. If I have a sponsor and Patreon doesn't go down in a month, I'm doing pretty well. So the last year, perfect. I have made some of the best videos, I think, of this year. I'm just gonna quickly go to my own channel, see what the deal is. Mia Mulder. What have I made this year? Well, don't listen to my voice. It's bad. I'm very proud. I'm actually extraordinarily proud of Puberty Blockers Are Safe. Or Are Puberty Blockers Safe? I've renamed that one now so as to do a little algorithm fiddling. Unfortunately, it is one of my like least viewed videos of the year, but that one accepted. And outside of like my short call to action video about Team C's, which I'll probably remove or unlist one day, because it's not much of a video, and without my recent one, which is just 2 weeks old. Every single video of mine, except for Psychiatry, which is like 4,000 away, has reached 100,000 on the History from Survey. Okay, not everyone has, but most of my videos for the last year has reached 100,000 viewers, which is fucking wild. There's a golden rule in YouTube that when you have when a video gets more views than you have subscribers, that means that you're doing pretty good. Like you're breaking through not just to your own audience, but like to a stranger's audience as well, or like to new people. And as long as you can do that, you're going to grow and you're going to be okay. Well, that's been pretty good. I made, why do people join the military is probably a video that I'm like most exceptionally proud of. I shot that one very well. I'm very happy with the quality. I'm very happy with the content. The arguments are very well done, I think. Both quantity-wise, quantity-wise, because it's an hour long, and just like personal satisfaction about it is, I'm very happy with it. And it's now my most popular video ever, so I'm happy about that. But I am very proud of my video about puberty blockers, because I also know that quite a few doctors have seen it and they like it, and I've also heard quite a few parents have reached out to me about that video. I've gotten an email or two about that, more than one or two actually, talking about like how this video sort of like eased a lot of anxiety around puberty blockers for their own like trans child, and that's kind of good. Obviously I told them that like I'm not a medical professional and like I'm not a scientist, so this is not like medical advice, and they all knew that. They all sort of knew that was the case, but it was just reassuring for them to sort of see a nuanced take by someone that they thought would be biased, because I wanted to present that video in a very like objective light, and the fact that I talked about like there are some concerns around bone density potentially, but you know, that doesn't take away from the overall fact. That is something that like really clicked with them, because they could see me like spitting facts, as the kids say. And I'm very happy about that. And so those two videos I think are like my top happy of this year. Puberty blockers didn't perform super well, but I don't really care. I'm more happy about things just like being good. What else has happened? I'm thinking if I've done anything else last year that has like stood out to me. I moved apartments. First of all, I'm in my new like studio space, my like little recording office, and which I still haven't fully decorated. I need to put up more of these foam walls. One of them fucking fell down. So, but yeah, I moved. Podcast. I did do a podcast. I did a podcast with my friend Salem. We did a medical history podcast that I haven't mentioned that much on the main channel. That's called Leechfest, which is a medical history podcast that I think a lot of you would actually like if you like me and Mulder content. It's more like straight up like direct history. It's less video essay and less like online content-y, but it's definitely, I think it's definitely something that like could appeal to you. Sorry, I hear a weird noise. I'm just gonna be right back. Sorry, it sounded like someone's breaking down my door. And I wanted to figure out what the hell that was about. But yeah, Leechfest is a good podcast, I think. It has its own Patreon because it's like a very separate type of content. And it's also something... like, it's something that I don't do myself, so it feels weird like to do like a sort of monetary split on my own Patreon, which is why we got that Patreon. It's great fun. I love doing it because I get to sort of flex my like my historian muscles, and it's been good fun. We're looking forward to another year of that, so that's been good. Yeah, if I remember anything else that's happened, I'll think of it. A starting overview beyond like abstract discussions of legality. I love the drink video. Need to watch twice because I got confused about which drink matched with the actual substance though. Yeah, I probably should have reminded people like throughout the video a bit more often like what drink corresponds to what drug. But it still worked. It still worked. But it could have spent like a few more, like a day extra of editing. I think could have done it good. What's your favorite cocktail? Actually talking about cocktails. I like European Manhattan. And the reason why I like European Manhattan is, I guess, trigger warning for drugs. Quick story time here. I'm going, when I was like 22 or something, I was at a bar in Uppsala, my old university town when I was a student. And I drank a European Manhattan for the first time, and I got roofied. This isn't a story that I've made a video about or mentioned in a video, but I got fucking roofied, and I drank half of a European Manhattan. I don't remember much else of the day outside of the fact that I got drunker and drunker, like in the next hour without actually drinking anything. I was fine. My best friend took me home, and I was fine. Like gave me some water, and I was fine. I didn't actually. Like nothing happened exactly. But the reason why I'm still drinking European Manhattans, why it's my favorite now, is because I'm reclaiming it as a sort of power stance that, like, because it was ruined for me for such a long time. Cocktails in general were ruined for me for a long time. So I wanted to sort of like reclaim it by like really embracing European Manhattan. And because the first time I drank it, it tasted awful. And I just thought that was how a European Manhattan tasted. And now that I know that, like, without the roofie in it, it tastes great. And also, now that I know what they're supposed to taste like, I can sort of avoid being roofied in the future. Finally, I'm a real girl. Not like a stereotype, that's like on me. I watch Transsexuals and Suffering when I want some emotional turmoil. Yeah, if you want to suffer a bit. It is very much one of those videos to where you're just like, ugh. That and Passing, How to Pass as a Woman. That one is, I hear, hits good. I haven't made an emotional video in a while. I need to do that. Is there a field or part of history you fell in love with? I'm very interested in antique historians like Herodotus, Thucydides. I like Victorian history, 100%. Like 1830s to 1930s-ish. Love it. It's my favorite time of history. And the reason why I like it is because when I studied history, my big thing was like the history of psychology and like medical history in that time. And holy shit, there's a lot of stuff there. Specifically, like the history of sex and sexology, which becomes a scientific field in that time. And it goes so quick and it's so dense and has so many interesting characters, because that also is an age of like interesting guys. Like, because the entire field of sexology is like 10 guys. Who all have like weird ideas, and like half of those guys like weird ideas about sex now dominate how we think of like gender and sexuality in the modern day entirely, just because like some weird guy had an idea. Richard Krafft-Ebing ruined everything. I never removed the BreadTube video though. I would never remove the BreadTube video. My April Fool's video is incredible. I love it. You did a few Twitch streams. Eventually with more streams you could partner. I do! This is true. I did a few Twitch streams. I didn't do enough that I wanted to though, but like in January and starting this year, I am going to stream twice a week. I'm going to stream on Tuesdays and Thursdays. at least, and I'll probably stream a bit more than that as well. And if I can keep that up, I'll make partner. So I'm going to stream video games on twitch.tv/mealmolder, where I play. I have like 5 ongoing games right now, and I have like 10 more that I want to do. So, you know, we'll get there. Leechfest, love Leechfest. Love the Leech. Are you using your, I don't know, Black Magic Pocket Cinema camera? That's what that means. BMPCC. I could use that, but I don't. It's sitting right there with the Rode mic on it. I am using a web camera for this. I was going to put that up, but the thing is, my office is kind of small and my desk is kind of narrow, so I don't really have a place to like place it. But now that I'm going to stream more on Twitch, I am going to see if I can find some sort of solution. I have a few ideas, so we'll get it to work, and we will get it to work. I know it will work because I already tried it, but I just haven't installed it. Well, once I have that, we're gonna have like 6K resolution. 6K resolution streaming face, so that's gonna be fun. I don't need that much. Speaking of, like, I only recently got a card, like a big enough like SD card that can actually hold 4K footage. I've only been I've had a 6K camera that can shoot that, and I've only shot it with 1080p in it. It's good stuff. It's a good camera. I love it. But hopefully in the new year, because I got this for Christmas, I'm actually going to be able to shoot some videos in 4K at least. 6K, my computer kills itself. It can't do that. But 4K, I think my computer can handle. And then we're gonna shoot with that, and then maybe backscale it to like 2K or something like that. So my videos will be looking crisper, but they also won't take like 4 years to render. Top podcast on Spotify this year because I discovered it in November and listened to the whole backlog. I hope you like it. We're gonna keep we're gonna keep doing it for like as long as we have the energy to do it. So, we're doing great. What's in a European Manhattan? I don't fucking know. I can't make cocktails to save my life. What's a nice egg cracker? Transsexualism suffering has had that effect on many people, I've heard. Ever planning on doing something about art history? I've thought about it. It has come up a couple of times in research and like brainstorming phases of videos. I have thought about it. I just haven't had... The big problem with art history is trying to connect it to something that's like easily approachable to watch, and that I'm passionate about making. Passionate about making is the big thing. Like making it watchable is less of a priority, because passion translates to views much more than watchability does, and it's been hard to find something that I can really like make a video about, but I want to. I want to. Have you read Sam Holmqvist transformationer? 1800-tals svenska translitteratur genom Lasse-Maja. Lasse-Maja, I've read about Lasse-Maja. C. Almqvist and Roy Ljungstedt. I haven't heard of a Roy Ljungstedt. Got for Christmas but I haven't read yet. I have not read that. When did that come out? (2018). I'm going to probably read this. It's a bit too recent for me to like have read. I haven't really read a lot of like Swedish trans literature since uni, unfortunately. What I've read has mostly been German. But I that's a good tip. I'm gonna read that. Translation suffering guts me. It's a rough watch, but an excellent video. I'm hoping to maybe make something like that in the future. Maybe for January, who knows? I have emotional things to talk about. I used my Patreon question earlier today to make me look at a Rubens painting. You did. So I would love to see you talk about art history. Again, like, it's something that has come up in my research and brainstorming phase, like, multiple times. It happens like once every 2 months or something like that, where like art history, or like an art history subject comes up and I want to talk about it, but it becomes difficult integrating it. But I do want to do it. Rest assured. YouTube is probably gonna take 2 years. HDMI port in a Blackmagic is 1080, 60. Is it? Hold on. Hold on. Where's my cable shit? Please excuse the mess that is my bookcase. Somewhere up here I have a connector, but I don't know. My hair's big today. We're like house hunters. Yeah. I really like the energy between Salem and you two. We have good energy. I was actually awake, but then I forgot. That happens. Thankfully, if you're a patron of mine, you can watch my streams whenever you want. The backlog, it never goes away. Do you speak German? I used to speak better German than I do now. I don't really speak very good German right now. I learned some German for uni, specifically for like reading German sources. The problem is I'm better at reading German, and I'm better at reading like old ass German. Like pre-unification German, which is a bit different than modern German, and because that's the sources that I read. Those are the things that I actually got used to reading, and it got to the point because when do I read modern German? I have no need to read modern German. I do have a need to read like a letter sent by like Magnus Hirschfeld and like his lover in Bohemia. That's not really something that you could like that because that's the stuff I read. That's the sort of stuff I got used to. Early psychiatry and queer history, like the birth of conversion therapy. It's part of my video on my history of transphobia. My history of transphobia video is very time spanning. I do want to talk about Magnus Hirschfeld more, but there's a part of me that thinks I've already said everything I can say about him. There's a part of me, I'm working on this. This is not something, speaking of which, I'll take that as actually as my cue to talk about the year coming up. I'm talking about, I'm hoping somehow, I don't know how I can make this work, but I'm hoping to make it work. I'm hoping to either make a crash course style course on the history of sex, or if that's not feasible, I'm hoping to make a full-length documentary on that effect too, because I want to talk about Magnus Hirschfeld, I want to talk about Kraft Ebing at length, and maybe if I'm lucky, I can make that as a sort of like a nebula thing, because that thing would need like, that thing would need funding basically, because I could probably do it, but then it would just be one long video essay. But I would like to make it like a proper documentary about it, or as a series, but that would be, that is something that I would love to do. We'll see about that though. I have a lot of like projects in the background, and we'll see how that goes. But I'm hoping to make something like that. But speaking of the year that is coming up, some news is that nothing will change. Well, some things will change. I'm still going to make as much content as I still do. I'm still going to do everything the same, basically. I'm slowly working on a audience census that I want to do. Like the Vlogbrothers do this thing every year where they like poll their own audience to see what they're like and what they're doing. I would love to do something like that. I want to see what you guys think. I want to see what you have like opinions about the channel, about my content. And I'm also working on a on a patron census for the purposes of maybe changing around some Patreon tiers. I wouldn't take anything away from anyone. The only thing that would change there is, well, I might take away a few things. But the only thing that would change would be making more things accessible for more people, like lowering the barrier of entry so that more people can get more rewards. And also maybe potentially changing some things with like how I do like voice thank yous in the end of my videos, because that's like taking a long time. Changing some like other rewards to make it a bit more easier for me to like implement, and also easier and also make it more fair to people who want to support me. So that is something that I'm maybe going to do, but I wouldn't do any of it without like checking with my patrons for how they feel, hence the census. And even if I do change anything, I would give people like a 2-month notice so that no one is like feeling cheated out of the whatever rewards that they want. So that everyone has time to get both what they want and also to like stop getting if they don't want to do it anymore. Huge maybe. What else is gonna happen? The podcast is gonna keep going as usual. We have some new rewards where we record a video version of the podcast as well that patrons can have access to, patrons of the podcast. And that's fun. That's gonna become standard, I think, for the next year. Like if people like it. If people don't like it, then that's one thing. But so far, it you know, and those video versions contain like a bit more content. It contains a bit more like jokes. It's a bit more like freeform, like people who want to have a bit more of a chill time with it. But the podcast would still go out on Spotify same time as it always does. Same quality, like that wouldn't change at all. I'm thinking of maybe doing a podcast for myself as a sort of like irregular world building podcast. Because I have a lot of like scrapped projects for fiction novels and speculative fiction and science fiction novels that I have done, and like D&D campaigns and like role-playing campaigns that I never get to like fully explore, because I was listening to the opening of the Adventure Zone RPG series called Ethersea, where they build the world. They just do world building for like 6 episodes, and I loved that part. So there's a part of me that's thinking if I might do something like that. Like I build a fantasy world in a like very mellow, like almost sleepy time podcast where I just like talk about like my fantasy lizards who have, you know, invented communism, not because they are communists, but because they don't want to work, because they're lizards and they want to lay in the sun. So they have optimized their entire society to minimize the amount of work as much as humanly possible so that they can do literally nothing. Something like that. I'm thinking about it. That would only happen if I have enough time to do it. We'll see about it. But right now I'm doing the podcast, I'm doing my YouTube videos, I'm going to stream regularly as well. This would be as a sort of like, I have a free day today, I may as well record a podcast. So it would also be like very low effort. Like it's well, not necessarily low effort, but like I'm not gonna put more than like a day's or two's work into an episode, and they would not come like weekly or something like that. Like that would be too much work. I have other things that I do. What else can I say? What else is happening? I have a few things that's gonna come out for Nebula specifically. Not like Mia Mulder exclusive content. I don't like doing that. I like all of my content to be available to everyone. But I am gonna do some episodes for Nebula shows, like shows that are exclusive on Nebula. I'm gonna be taking part of that, so that's gonna be fun. I like to think. But you'll get more information about that when that comes. Yeah. in personal news that may affect the channel is that I'm going to apply to basically film school. Because I want to start doing, I said this last year too and it never happened. I want to start getting into like filmmaking. So I might this year do a short film or something. Again, I said this last year, it never happened. I was too busy. So, you know, don't expect it, but it may happen. I have a short film or two that I do want to make as part of like my goal to like maybe get into actual filmmaking one day. I think that's good. I'm gonna go back to chat, and if I think about something else, I think that's it. We've covered the month that has been, the month that's coming up, the year that has been, and the year that's coming up. I'm going to hit 100,000 subscribers next year, guaranteed. Unless my channel is ultra cancelled for some reason. I'm going to hit 100,000 subscribers like sometime in February or March, which means I'm gonna get my nice fucking plaque that I've been craving since I started this YouTube channel, and I'm gonna place it like, I don't know, probably like on the shelves. So yeah, I think that's it. I'm in such a good mood now. So I'm just checking my notifications in case something's happening. In case I'm getting cancelled by the Ultra Illuminati. Alright, back to chat. Do I speak German? We'll talk about that. Unification as in before the Reich, yeah. Before the Empire. Before the dark times. Before the Empire. I watch way too much Star Wars. I have a little side about conversion theory. Yeah, Pim's videos are good about like on autism, and you should. There is an aside about conversion therapy, which is very good. I recommend it. Sounds like an awesome project. I like to think so. I hope so. Just wanted to say I'm new to your channel. Well, hello, welcome to the gang. I appreciate your warmth in your videos, and I can see the broad knowledge you have and your passion. Thank you. I like to think so. Documentary would be amazing. I have some ideas. I would love to like make a video about like an actual documentary about Hirschfeld, but it wouldn't like be a video essay. It would like have to be like a thing where I travel to meet people, and that requires funding, and so you know we'll see. If I get famous enough that like people at YouTube notices me, maybe I can get like a YouTube original, but that's probably not gonna happen. Because I hate it when you say the word sex. Film school. You support me for going to film school? I definitely want to do something more like theatrical. I'm probably not going to get into film school because the Royal Academy here is like super fucking exclusive. But I'm gonna apply. I'm gonna see what happens. Even if I don't get in, I do just want to make maybe a short film on my own time, because I would love to submit something to a film festival, and do something like that. Like I haven't done something like artistic in that way since art school. Doing videos is artistic in itself, right? But it's something, it's very much a different thing. I talk very much about how I view being on YouTube as like how to make a lecture entertaining rather than as a film. Some people approach making YouTube videos or video essays in the sense of like, I'm going to make a movie. But it's much more like I'm going to present a lecture, but I'm making it interesting. Is plaque going to be the new plant? We'll see. My plants are actually like not doing that great since I moved here. I think the new light and like the new air and stuff like that, they're not liking it. They used to be over here. I've moved them now to the window so they can get a bit more light. They are struggling. I am sad to say. They've been doing okay for a few months, but like this winter they're not doing great. All right, it is 9 here. I've been streaming for an hour. I'm going to catch up with chat, and then I'm going to end the stream, I think, because I don't stream for more than an hour, typically. If you have a question, like a burning thing that you want to know, drop it in chat, and I'll answer it before I go. I'm just going to do my, like, ending spiel. Next week, I'm going to stream on Tuesday and Thursday, because I'm starting my video streaming, like, now. I might stream something tomorrow because I'm not doing the Monday Discourse with Tristan anymore because Tristan's going on fucking paternity leave because he's becoming a fucking dad. So I'm not doing that anymore. So I might stream something else. Maybe. I'm also streaming... like I have a Patreon stream tomorrow for patrons where I react to an old video. I don't remember which video that's going to be, but that's going to be fun, I think. And... what else is going to happen? On the 10th of January, a new episode of Leech Fest is going to come out. Yeah, I think that's good. I think it's pretty well. I hope you've had a good new year. I hope you had good holidays, and I hope you're very nice to each other on Twitter, and being very kind. And with that said, I'm going to catch up with chat again. If Mia gets cancelled, I'm gonna throw hands. I haven't been cancelled yet. I've had one harassment thing, and I'm having the current thing, which isn't a harassment thing really. It's like just a slow trickle of like one in 100,000 people who decide to be a shithead, which is not an harassment thing. Like that's just like the law of large internet numbers. So I can't blame anyone for that. But that's basically that. 100k is massive. 100k is massive. It's gigantic. No challenges, there's more. Thank you very much. Me as a CIA plant. Listen. They pay well. Hi, Mia, new patron. Welcome. And thank you. Are there any history books or historical novels from the past year you'd recommend? Let me think about that. What's on my list? Something's been on my list. What the fuck? What is it called? I just completely forgot what it's called. And I'm having like the worst brain fart in the world. Piketty. That's what its name is. Yeah. Capital in the 21st century. Not necessarily something that I agree with. I think Piketty is a bit of a... he doesn't go hard enough. And it's not really a history thing in itself either. But it does provide, to me at least, when I read it in uni, it was extraordinarily like easy to get into. And it was such a perfect like going off point to criticize Piketty, which I think you should do, but also to sort of get a view into like how how history is being viewed today and how it's used, because then you can take your reading of Capital in the 21st century and apply it to reading anything else, like especially like old history texts. And because when you have the sort of like, when you know how Piketty thinks and like how modern economists think about these things, it becomes so much easier to put historical things into context. So I see that as almost foundational, at least to my own learning, even though I don't agree with Piketty or the conclusions of Capital in the 21st century. Soviet Rumble started streaming TF2. Oh shit, I gotta go too. I want to watch that. Duolingo told me that plant is vexed in Swedish. Germanic languages are shitty, yeah. I enjoy seeing your money. Have you talked about the politics of it? Not publicly, no. I don't want to talk about it too much because it's not really my thing, it's Tom's thing. I've mentioned money a few times in my content, and I might mention it sometime in the future as well. But I doubt it. Like I don't really want to get into like game theory politics too much. I don't think that's really my wheelhouse. I could try though, eventually one day. What do you think America is so weird? I think it has to do with the Puritans being zealous, not experiencing the negatives of nationalism Europe did. Probably. I also think that it's definitely America got to do colonialism and has not been forced to answer for it at all. America, like every single European empire or like Western empire, for the most part, have been forced to reckon with the fact of empire. The British Empire have lost their part and like have had to sort of like reform to like economic imperialism. Same with the French. Same with like many other European nations. And some nations just fucking lost. Like the Dutch and the Spanish just lost their empires. But America colonized like everything that's basically west of Pennsylvania. But because it's a contiguous state and because of like massive genocides, it hasn't really been forced to reckon with that. And the evolution from like colonialism to economic like self-confidence is something that I think has like really cemented the idea of American exceptionalism, which itself like is false, but it's also like an idea that exists for a lot of people within the US. And I think that's a part of it, because I think most Western countries have had to been shamed. Most countries in Europe need shame. They need to be like ashamed. They need to lose. America loses all the time, but they lose in a very specific way where they don't frame it as losing at all. Like did America really lose in Afghanistan or in Vietnam or Korea? Like, no one really talks about that as like losses, whereas losing Egypt is a loss for the British Empire, like objectively. But a lot of people in America will like argue with you over like, well, how do you define loss in a very specific sense? Because they haven't lost like at home, they haven't lost in a way that like shames them. And I think that can shape a national identity in Europe in a good way. I think empires should be shamed. Be ashamed. Oh God, I'm not catching up with chat. I need to be quicker. Member of Student TV, I had to recommend some volunteer organization. Yeah, I've been part of Student TV. I'd love to do that again. Going back to subject art history, the CIA is supporting abstract art. Yes, the CIA did support abstract art. Reason for the US government. I need to be quick, otherwise I'm gonna be here forever. Advice for baby trans? Be kind to yourself. Don't push yourself too hard because you burn out. I did. I pushed myself way hard super early in my transition, burnt out, and like For a myriad of different reasons, there's a part of me that feels like that I've had to like restart my transition like twice, and that gets exhausting after a while. So, you know, be kind to yourself. Take it easy. Love the tall posting. Good. I'm gonna do more of it. European countries should cry more. They should. There are video podcasts. Where did I see that? Become a leech for patient. The video podcasts are hour-long tall posts. Kinda. You can see that I'm like trying to shape, like fit into the camera frame. And that is me done with chat. Perfect. Lovely. Lovely to see you. I'm going to go to bed because it's 9. Hopefully I've done all my chores for today. I vacuumed, I'm gonna do the laundry, and then I'm gonna go to bed because it's late. Am I an anarchist? I don't define myself with political labels because if I say anyone, they will, a lot of people will judge me unfairly. However, I am friends with many anarchists, and I believe that we are all allies in the fight against capitalism. That's what I'll say about that. But I'm not gonna... That's all. Alright. Have a good night, everyone. Have a good time. I'm going to finish this Fanta, and see you later. Goodbye. And have a good year. Happy New Year. Damn.